if everyone please take their seat. We're going to go ahead and get started.
That'll be in the way right there? No, I can put it maybe right here.
Okay.
I think that'd be better.
Yeah.
It's going, right? Yep. All right. Thank you, Thelma.
You're welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon. For those who do not know, I'm Thelma Castillo, and I'm the President and CEO of the Blue Water Area Chamber of Commerce. And I'm excited to welcome everyone here. And thank you for attending the 12th Annual State of the County. Please, everyone, give yourselves a hand of applause. I mean, this is a great turnout. The Chamber is so excited to be able to host this, and we really do thank the county for allowing us that opportunity to do so. This has been an annual event that brings together community leaders, government leaders, and members of the business community. And the one thing that we have in common is a vested interest in the continued growth and prosperity of the Blue Water region. The Chamber has been fortunate to be able to host this event. And today you're going to hear from our county administrator, county chair, several city managers regarding all the great things that are happening in their communities. And remember, that does not happen by accident. It's intentional. We all work together to make our region stronger, and that was recently reflected in an article in Crane's Detroit Business publication. And it was called "A Collaborative Approach to Economic Development Pays Off in St. Clair County." We know if we all work together to make our region stronger, our region will shine brighter, and others will want to come and visit, start a business, or be here just to enjoy what we have to offer with all the assets in our community. I also would like to recognize our March member of the month. We happen to be in their facility today, Alexander's Banquet Facility. Please, let's give a hand of applause to Alex. Alex has been a strong supporter of the Blue Water Area Chamber of Commerce, and we are honored to have him as our March member of the month. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you the mayor of the city of Marysville, Mayor Damon. Mayor Damon was elected in November 2013. Prior to being elected as the mayor, he served on the council. He's a graduate of the Michigan State University and Wayne State Law School. He has been a member of several law firms and is the co-founder of Winston and Damon. Dan has been very active in the Blue Water Area Chamber as well as the community, and is a member of several organizations. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Damon to the podium.
Good morning. Thank you. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 13th Annual State of the County Address, and I've had the distinct pleasure of welcoming you for the last 5 years. Something that I really don't want to glaze over before I give my welcoming address is that we really wouldn't be able to put this thing together without the Blue Water Chamber of Commerce. Thelma and Joyce and Danielle, they never really ask for a lot of applause. They never really ask for too much accolade but if you look around this room, 455 people to hear the state of our county means that there has been an investment in our community by the Chamber. In 2017, the Chamber added 128 new members to end the year at 531. They added businesses from Port Huron, Fort Gratiot, Marysville, St. Clair, and Moraine City. At the 11th annual State of the County, just a couple years ago, they had 390 people in attendance, several elected officials, public officials, and it's one of the Chamber's largest annual events. Today, the number is more than 450. The Chamber's programs include Business Leaders Series Luncheon, which featured Dave Egner, the president of the Ralph Wilson Foundation. Its anniversary gala celebrating 100 years with over 500 attendees, with the keynote speaker Lloyd Carr. What the Chamber really thrives on is its events and programs. This is where we are able to offer you and other members of your organization the most value from your membership. This past year, there were over 100 opportunities to help make your business more attractive with social connections and to expand your knowledge on ways to promote and grow your business. More importantly, the Chamber offers you the ability to have fun while doing it. I asked Thelma for some stats that I heard at the annual dinner for the Chamber because I was just blown away by these statistics. In 2017, there were 4,135 attendees, 118 sponsors, and $64,000 in sponsorships raised to make the Chamber event successful. To put that into perspective, there were 2,000 more attendees in 2017 than there were the prior year. 40 more sponsors and an increase of $36,000 in sponsor scholarships. That's nearly double the previous year. While the dollars are important, it's more than just the money that is donated. All of you donate your time, your services, your business space, and much more. And the Chamber would not be where it is today without everybody in this room. So give yourselves a round of applause. Look at us and look at where we are and look at where we have been. At the 2015 State of the County, in my welcoming address, I spoke of the synergy in our region. I talked about what we had been witness to in recent years, the collaboration between not only different bodies of government, but also between the public sector and the private sector. The enthusiasm that was created by the idea that we could be better than we were. And I asked at that point everyone in attendance to look around and think back over the course of the past year and think about those who rose to the occasion. Think about those who harnessed the extraordinary power of an idea and saw it through. To think about those who heard no, or it can't be done, and had the fortitude to push on, to reach their goal. And to think of those who embraced the philosophy of it's not the dreaming, it's the doing. A year later, in 2016, I talked about leadership, and I laid out a punch list of attributes that seem to be a common thread of highly effective and renowned leaders throughout our world's history. I quoted Abraham Lincoln, Winston Churchill, Ronald Reagan, and even Alexander the Great. I was able to talk about leadership because we are rich in leadership. It is a river that runs very deep through the Blue Water area. I spoke about how the stakeholders of St. Clair County create the gentle hum of progress. When I look around today like I did in 2016, I still see those that are responsible for the building up of St. Clair County and its institutions. But now I see more of them. I see more people whose actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. That is what John Quincy Adams believed a leader to be. And today, when I look around, not only do I see the leadership that I saw a couple of years ago, I see more people who have risen to the occasion and more people who have shared in the yoke of progress. Last year, I talked about the difference between luck and opportunity. If you were here last year, I told you how you had accepted the challenge to create opportunity, a set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. Truman said, "Men make history, and not the other way around." In periods where there is no leadership, society stands still. Progress occurs when courageous, skillful leaders seize the opportunity to change things for the better. I then pointed out that we as a collective group seized the opportunity to be relevant, to be on a bigger stage, to be noticed in Southeast Michigan and beyond. Remember a few years ago when Randy Fernandez hunted down Cindy Goodacre from Crane's Detroit Business at the Michigan Hispanics Chamber of Commerce annual breakfast and hounded her until Crane's listened. That's how Crane's initially came to this area, and I'd like everybody to give Randy a round of applause for that. This was an important step in making our region relevant, and I closed by reiterating an opportunity is not something that is given, it is something that is created. That St. Clair County was not lucky, but diligent, and how the past year had showcased the success that happens when preparedness meets opportunity. So look at what we have accomplished together. I wish I could stand up here and say that I had the ability and foresight to plan today's welcoming address for the last 4 years, using each year as a building block in what is today the culmination of a strategic 4-year speech, but I can't. Every year, I just talked about what I observed on a county-wide level the previous year. Each address was a discussion of the observations, but together, looking back, they certainly tell the story of how we have arrived, and I have to say that we are better now than I can ever remember, and hopefully better now than most of you can remember. Whether we are discussing our regional economy, which according to the EDA statistics saw an addition of 728 new jobs and $127 million in private investment in the last year, or you were one of the 300 or so people that attended Crane's next St. Clair County Luncheon at the Convention Center, or you have driven by the St. Clair Inn to see what the next great attraction in our county will be, you have heard and you have seen progress. We are witnesses to immense investment at McLaren Port Huron and progress at Lake Huron Medical Center to build a better infrastructure to better serve our health and medical needs of our community. Maybe you were part of the Mackinac Island contingent that ventured north to represent our region and build relationships with people well beyond our borders, to share what we have to offer. If you have seen a movie at Sperry's Movie House, then you are part of a pipe dream that some said would fail. Maybe you were looking at a new home in the 200-home project that Body Construction has started in the city of Marysville. Or maybe, on a warm summer night in 2017, you ventured to Marine City to enjoy its historic downtown, saved from urban renewal and flush with boutique stores, restaurants, incredible theaters, and now a boutique hotel. In a few moments, you're going to hear from our city managers and the chair of our county commission. They're going to tell you of the things happening in their respective cities, and Chairman Boehm will tell you about what's happening in the county. You'll, of course, hear the state of the county from Kari. They will all tell you of the wins and accomplishments in the face of adversity and struggle, and they will tell you how progress is prevailing. Our manufacturing plants are adding shifts, our restaurants are fuller, our housing is taken off, and our schools are reinventing education with unprecedented support from the community. We have more business as part of the Blue Water Chamber of Commerce than ever before, and community outreach is at an all-time high. Everyone here has been to some fundraiser for some nonprofit that helps those in need in our community. The United Way exceeded its fundraising goal of $1.25 million in the campaign it just finished. Round of applause to Danny Nagin. Blue Water Pregnancy Care fundraiser was at capacity, and Operation Transformation continues to help transform lives through the power and grace of God, just to name a few. We are building, producing, growing, and taking care of those in our community that are less fortunate, and as a region, we are not taking no for an answer. We are strong and we are proud. You see, we have arrived, but we have only done so together. We are only able to do this because we have harnessed synergy, embraced leadership, and created opportunity. People have made the difference. I firmly believe that God has blessed the Blue Water area with the people in this room, people who believe in themselves and believe in the people of this region. You have inspired because you have believed. We are about to turn the page to the next chapter in our history, but we are also approaching our tipping point, and we need to think ahead and be prepared. A tipping point is a critical point in a situation or process beyond which a significant and often unstoppable effect or change takes place. See, with success comes great responsibility. We as a county, as a region, will soon be facing an identity crisis that will require us to define who we are to others and define who we are to the outside. And that discussion will be a discussion amongst ourselves. Are we a stop on the I-69 corridor focused on manufacturing and transportation of good and materials? Or are we a destination for families in their leisure time? Where will we as a region spend our advertising dollars and in what media? What is the most important aspect of our growth and our transition? Where will we be in 10 years or in 20? The very same people who inspired others to believe in themselves, who thought outside the box, who pushed us to where we are, will be charged with now deciding where we go from here. And I can assure you, if we ever forget how we arrived here, how we created our opportunity to exceed even our own expectations, then we will lose who we are. Now is the time for open minds and for open discussion. The future has yet to be written, and the only limitations to our success are the limitations that we compose for ourselves. I look forward to seeing who we are and who we become through the prose written by the dedicated, determined, and gifted people in this room with which God has so blessed us. Thank you for coming to the State of the County. I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Damon, for those remarks and welcoming us to your great city, Marysville. Now I'd like to introduce the chair of the Blue Water Area Chamber of Commerce, Aaron Hewlett. Since 2009, Aaron has been with the Michigan Mutual Mortgage Company. He's a residential mortgage specialist with over 20 years of mortgage lending experience. He's originated hundreds of loans with a focus of giving clients great advice and great service. In 2018, he began his chairmanship with the Chamber, and the Chamber is very fortunate to have someone who is highly respected in the community and is very supportive of the Chamber in this leadership role. Please join me in welcoming Aaron to the podium.
Welcome, everyone. What a turnout. Man, I get so excited at these events because every time I come to a chamber event, I feel like there's more energy in the room and there's more people at each event. So this is pretty cool. So thank you, Thelma, for that kind introduction. I have to give it back to Thelma, though. Thelma, Danielle, and Joyce from the chamber office, I know most of you in the room know them. They literally are rock stars, not only for the community, but for the chamber and so many organizations in our county. Let's give them a round of applause. I've been on the board since 2014, and I've seen a lot of changes in the last 4 years in our community, as many of you have. And one of my first tasks that I was assigned with was I was kind of voluntold, you could say, to be on a committee to find us a new president. And I remember it like it was yesterday, and I was going through resumes. We had 4, 5, or 6 resumes, and we had some really good candidates. And Thelma's was the last one I got to, and I immediately set all the others aside. I saw her qualifications, I saw her background, and I want to give her another round of applause because a lot of this growth would not come from any other way other than Thelma. So Thelma, thank you very much for what you're doing for the chamber. At this time, I'd also like to recognize our elected and appointed officials. If you're an elected or appointed official, could you please stand? Thank you for what you do for our community. I'd also like to thank our three presenting sponsors today. We have AT&T. They've actually recently celebrating over a century of doing business in Michigan. McLaren Port Huron, they've been a strong chamber supporter, and as everyone knows, they're investing heavily into our community right now. And then there's ITC Holdings. They oversee electricity transmission grids, and they're very active with the chamber as well. Thank you. We're also fortunate to have 8 additional sponsors for today's event. We have DTE Energy, Lake Huron Medical Center, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Chemical Bank, BMJ Engineers and Surveyors, the EDA of St. Clair County, Blue Water Developmental Housing, and Regency on the Lake. Let's give them a round of applause as well. There's no way we could make events like this happen without their support. And speaking of support, there's another group of people that I'd like to recognize. Could I have all of our Board of Directors of the Chamber of Commerce please stand? Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Not only do they give back and they attend events, but we also make them wake up really early one day a month, 7:30 a.m. meetings. So there's a lot to be said for that too on their part of their dedication. So. I'd also like to have everyone on our Public Affairs Committee. Could you please stand? This is our advocacy arm. I see a few people standing here. It's a small but powerful group. They do a lot of things that support our county. They review legislation, conduct candidate forums, host advocacy events with elected officials, and there's a lot more, but we don't have time to go into all the things that they do. But we really appreciate all that you do for us. Well, we've talked about people and organizations that are giving back, and I think as a community, and I love what Mayor Damon said, all those things, but I think as a community, I feel like we're just getting started. I feel like we can even do a little bit better. I know a few years ago, I kind of had, I think you just called it a turning point, Mayor. I kind of had a turning point, and I had been thinking about getting involved in the community, and there was a few nonprofit organizations that I wanted to kind of partner up with and start working with, and one day I was at home and I heard a song, and the song really was my turning point. And I want to share just a couple sentences out of the song with you. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing it because that would not be good. So, the song is by Matthew West and it's called Do Something. I woke up this morning, saw a world full of trouble now. Thought, how did we get so far down? How's it ever going to turn around? So I turned my eyes to heaven and thought, God, why don't you do something? He said, I did. I created you. That songwriter was right on. We can't just sit back and do nothing. And the song goes on to talk about waiting for others to do something, and it also gives the listener a sense of urgency. And I got excited that day, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something right now. And I immediately started with a nonprofit that I had been thinking about joining, and I started right away with them. And I just want to issue you a challenge today. If there's something you've been thinking about, like the songwriter says, do something. Get involved. Is there something you're passionate about? Is there a cause that you want to get behind? Don't be afraid and do it. Next, I get to introduce Jeff Boehm. Jeff's our county commissioner. And Jeff was elected in 2011, and he currently sits on several boards. I feel like Jeff doesn't need an introduction. I feel like everyone in the room knows Jeff or knows of him. But he was elected in 2011. He currently sits on several boards, just to name a few: Blue Water Convention and Visitors Bureau, Blue Meets Green Leadership Council, and the EDA of St. Clair County. Please help me welcome Jeff Boehm.
All right. I'm a little technically challenged here, so. Okay, where's that little clicker thing? All right.
There you go.
Thank you. So I have a little housekeeping detail that I have to take care of here before we get started. I need to acknowledge some people here today. I consider these people some of the brightest and best. I consider them the community leaders and trendsetters. These individuals are truly one step ahead of Michigan State and Michigan graduates. I would like my fellow Chippewas in the room to stand up. We never get recognized. If you went to Central Michigan, you give yourself a big round of applause. And as a side note, their women's basketball team made the Final 16 for the first time in college history. So, there's a lot of elected officials in the room today. I want to recognize Paul Mitchell. He's here. Is Paul still here? He had to pop in. Probably had to sneak out. Also, I got my personal bodyguard here today. Where's Tim Lolito? I saw him earlier. Stand up, Timmy. Timmy's a professional football player, does some great things in our community. I'm very fortunate to have these individuals. I would like my board members to stand up here. We've got the guys right there. Stand up. Because without these guys, it would be tough. I can tell you, it really makes my job a whole lot easier when you got these guys on your team. As you know, I'm a St. Clair kid, okay? We're going to talk a lot about other developments that are happening in the community, but arguably none more exciting than this, right? So you've got some pictures, just some aerial renderings. If you have not been by the St. Clair Inn, do yourself a favor and drive by there. They're spending roughly $35 million on that particular project. As we all know, the St. Clair Inn was the cornerstone for the city of St. Clair and really the region. It had been closed for 3 years, functionally closed 10 years prior to that, right? And today I want to acknowledge somebody. We actually have one of the owners of the St. Clair Inn. He's from California. Rick, I want you to stand up and give him a big round of applause for investing in our community. If you get a chance, thank the man. Not to mention how important our regional partners are. So I've got my friend in the room, Mark Hackle, and I did not put those signs out by the side of the road. If you saw those, Hackle for governor, somebody here, Randy Fernandez perhaps. So I had to show that picture to redeem myself, because if you remember, I was here last year. I talked about how I went to the auto show. I was really excited. My wife and I go down there, pull up. I forgot my coat. Forgot my tux coat, right? So the first guy I run into when I get there is Hackle and the Macomb County entourage. And I was telling my wife I'm going to use this story. She says, "You remember what he said to you?" He said, "Are you working the event? You look like a waiter." So I was not forgetting my coat this year. This is this year's auto show. Also got Ron Trombley, very good friend of mine, Lennox Township supervisor back here. He's actually getting out of here and he's going to watch the New Haven basketball team over in Lansing. I'm just going to reflect a little bit. I've been on the board for 14 years, actually, since 2004, but I was board chair since 11. When I first got on the board, 2 weeks in, the jail thing got dropped on us, right? So you want to talk about probably being at the all-time low, public confidence, all the above. Was not a fun time to serve, I can assure you that. It took us really 3 to 4 years to really get some credibility built back in, and of course what happened then is the world falls apart, right? Economy, tanks. And at that time, we really, I know we talk a lot about blue meets green and stuff, but we really said there ain't nobody coming to save us. Right? We got to get our act together and we got to save ourselves. So that started a lot of the collective efforts, and I think it probably, arguably, is one of my greatest accomplishments. And there's a lot of other people in this room. When I say my accomplishments, it's our accomplishments. Is everybody collectively getting together to work on regional priorities and move this area forward. So my blue meets green members that are in the room, I truly appreciate your participation. Lastly, I need to recognize the new dad in the room. So, a round of applause for the Freed family. So, I'm in a meeting on Monday. James' wife's in labor. James shows up. Randy, you were there, a couple of us. He's like, they said I got 5 hours. I didn't want to miss this meeting. I'm like, James, get out of here, you know. But all went well. So there's one of the pictures. Here's another close-up of the freed baby. And, oops. I think that's going to be a good-looking kid, just for the record, when she grows up, James. So, all right, we're going to move on. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the St. Clair County Administrator, Kari Hepting. Kari was appointed St. Clair County's Administrator and Controller in 2016. She began her career in St. Clair County in 1999 and has held several positions, including payroll staff, accounting manager, deputy controller, finance director. Kari's a lifelong resident of St. Clair County and a St. Clair girl. Holds a bachelor's degree in accounting from Michigan State University and a certified public accountant. She was named Blue Water Women of the Year in 2015 by Blue Water Women magazine. Please join me in welcoming Kari.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Good afternoon and welcome. Today's record attendance really demonstrates why our county is so successful. Community interest, supports, and partnerships are what is making us thrive. I'm certain without these collaboration and partnerships, we would certainly be in a much different position today, and my presentation would not be quite as good. For almost a decade, government updates focused around finances. Governments were struggling to maintain services with dramatic revenue shortfalls. The landscape has changed, and now we can focus our time on enhancing services and making service improvements, as you'll see from some of our initiatives and accomplishments from 17. Here's a breakdown of our 2018 budget. These percent allocations remain fairly consistent from year to year. More than half of our revenue is derived from property taxes, and public safety continues to receive the largest portion of our spending. Overall, in 2018, our budget grew by less than 1% over our 2017 budget. And one important thing to note is we are still 5% less than we were 10 years ago. Our revenue growth is limited. However, we've been successful at balancing our budgets while maintaining services. The county does not formally adopt multi-year budgets. However, we do continue to use 5-year budget modeling. This has allowed us to grow our fund balance even through the recession and maintain adequate reserves. Pension and retirement health care funding are certainly at the forefront at the state level, and with many local units of government struggling to fund their obligations. St. Clair County's pension funding is strong. We're currently at 90%, and that steadily increases each year. Our retirement health care funding is we've made significant strides in our retirement health care funding. While we still have a lot of work to do, we have managed to almost double our funding position since 2009, and we've reduced our unfunded liabilities by just over 40%. We accomplished this through a series of increased funding and pension plan design changes. For the 2018 budget year, we once again increased funding towards our health care liability of 1% of payroll. Low unemployment has produced a shift in focus from creating jobs to filling jobs. Many employers are having a difficult time finding qualified workers. We currently are the 4th largest employer in the county. While government is still considered a favorable place to work, we too are beginning to experience difficulties in recruiting for certain positions, such as nurses, electricians, or deputies. The county proactively began to look at our wage and benefit structure to make sure we were competitive. One major undertaking in 2017 was a wage study and the implementation of a uniform wage structure. We have 18 different bargaining units as well as non-union employees. Each unit and group had their own unique wage structure, causing numerous internal inequities. The process was incredibly labor-intensive. It involved updating every job description for every position in the county and collecting all that same comparable data from our 12 comparable counties. Our department heads provided significant input throughout the whole process. We have successfully negotiated and implemented this with the majority of our bargaining units as well as our non-union employees. Most employees were shown to be slightly under market or right where they were at. Necessary adjustments were made to correct all our internal and external inequities, and it was implemented as part of the 2018 budget. The statistics shown here can show the trend of us receiving fewer applications relative to our new hires. We currently enjoy a relatively low turnover rate of less than 7% each year, but we see a shift on the horizon. Currently today, 11% of our full-time employees are eligible to retire. This increases to 18% over the next 3 years, and many of these are in very key positions. We'll be working with these department heads on their succession plans so there's a smooth transition. The county's philosophy has been to promote from within whenever possible. This year, we recently joined SC4's Workforce Development Group, and we will be working on exploring training programs to roll out to our employees to facilitate their career advancement. Understanding your existing workforce is important for employee retention and satisfaction. We currently have 5 different generations working in our workforce. As you saw in the earlier slide, it's not unusual for our employees to work past their normal retirement age. Diverse demographics allow for different perspectives and points of view that allow us to better serve our customers. These same different perspectives, however, also can cause conflict among employees if not managed properly. We are finding employees that value time off and flexible scheduling, even over compensation. Some of our departments have been implementing flexible work schedules if their operations allow. This is an example of one of the initiatives we're working on so St. Clair County remains a desirable place to work. Convention Center. Our convention center has seen significant changes in the past year. Last year at the State of the County event, I had the pleasure of introducing our new general manager, and I think it was maybe his second day on the job. Well, since that time, Gino has done a tremendous job and made numerous process improvements. I think one of the most significant changes, besides Gino himself, has been the change to our catering service model. Early last fall, the county chose to end their exclusive catering agreement to allow our customers a variety of choices at different price points. This has been a significant factor in our growth. 2017, we hosted 159 events, including 11 conferences, and that brought in 30,000 visitors to our center. This year, we anticipate hosting 171 events, including 14 conferences, and we are expecting over 45,000 visitors to come to the convention center this year. While many of these are local, there are also a significant number of attendees coming from out of the area. Several large high-profile events, such as OrgPro and the Crane's Next event, are really creating more recognition and spurring some future bookings. Our 2017 revenues increased 39% over 2016, and our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another 25% increase. Our 2018 revenues are on target to see another The Board of Commissioners took a significant risk when they chose to take on this project. However, as you can see from our success, it's paying off. In early 2017, our health department rolled out the results of their community health needs assessment. That assessment measured the health of our community compared to others in the state. It's no surprise that substance abuse was listed as one of the top 5 areas of concern. St. Clair County, like most counties in the nation, have been impacted by the opioid epidemic. I suspect everyone in this room has been somehow impacted by a friend, family member, or coworker struggling with addiction, or it may be your inability to fill positions because your candidates can't pass a drug screen. This is a complicated community problem with no easy solutions. It is putting pressure on our government resources, such as law enforcement, courts, our jail space, and our medical examiner's office. St. Clair County, along with numerous community partners, are working on strategies to combat this issue. In 2016, our voters overwhelmingly approved an increase to our drug task force millage. Our task force was able to double in size. Last year, they saw a 74% increase in their heroin seizures. They're finding that many who become addicted to opioids turn to heroin because it's less expensive to obtain. In addition to heroin, they were also able to remove more than 1,900 prescription pills from the street. While this is only a small fraction of what they were able to accomplish last year, it demonstrates the hard work they're doing to make our county an unfriendly environment for dealers to do business. But unfortunately, we know this is not enough. As long as there is a demand, there will always be a supplier. A county drug abuse work group has been working to develop strategies to provide necessary treatment for those affected by addiction. Next Monday, EBW TV will be hosting and live streaming a community event where representatives from the Health Department, Sheriff's Office, Community Mental Health, and Region 10 will be discussing the issues and actions they are taking. This is the first of several events that will be happening around the county. I certainly encourage everyone here to attend and hear about and learn about the issues and how you can be part of the solutions. Other key priorities that have been identified as part of our community health needs assessment includes mental health, obesity, smoking, and mortality rates. Action plans to address these outcomes are also being developed. St. Clair County has an active broadband committee that meets regularly to develop and facilitate solutions to bring broadband to all areas of our county. Our internal border and competing signals create a unique signal problems along our shoreline. While it's hard for some of us to believe, there are many areas of our county with little or no service. Parents have to take their children to a library branch or McDonald's so they can do their schoolwork. Those of us with children or grandchildren know that access is critical for students. Those without are at risk of falling significantly behind. Lack of access also discourages new families or businesses from locating in those areas. The work of our committee gained attention at the state level. For that reason, Governor Snyder chose St. Clair County to roll out his executive order and broadband initiative. The governor has a very aggressive time schedule for his newly appointed task force to develop an action plan to bring broadband to all areas of the state. We're very excited about this initiative, and we look forward to aligning our efforts with the governor's plan. In 2017, our dispatch center implemented Smart 911. We currently have 700 residents that have created profiles along with 2 facilities. As part of that system, our dispatch center also now has text to 911 capabilities. This has been a very useful tool for our dispatchers. They have found when they need to contact an individual, they have greater success by sending a text message versus a phone call because generally people don't answer a call from an unknown number. Next, we're gearing up for Next Generation 911. We've already begun the process and are switching over to the Pacific Fiber Network. Calls can quickly and easily be rerouted to any participating center in the event of a major event or equipment failure. Growth is happening all over our county. This growth includes new construction and expansions of existing businesses. Our panel is going to highlight the exciting projects happening in their communities. However, I would like to just give a big picture overview. 2017, we saw $127 million in investment. While this is certainly an impressive number, the most notable improvement was 2017 was the increase in building permits. We saw a 20% increase in permits for single-family homes, and in addition, 96 permits were issued for multifamily units. This is an important indicator that our county is growing and that our current supply is not adequate to meet the demand of those wishing to relocate in our county. Our unemployment rate remains low. Household incomes are rising at a rate greater than inflation, and our home values are rising as well. The county has played an important role in economic development. By leveraging brownfield grant funds, we have served as a catalyst to get projects started. Brownfield grant funds can be used to do environmental assessments on contaminated or potentially contaminated properties. This information is important to developers when deciding to take on a project. The county received an initial grant of $1 million in 2010 that leveraged over $166 million in total project investment. Many of the projects you see happening these last several years began with a grant-funded assessment. Some of those projects include the Inn on Water Street, Sperry's, the St. Clair Inn, and many of the downtown lofts. Over 70 assessments were completed with the first grant. Because of our success with the first round, in 2017 the county applied for and once again received a second round of funding in the amount of $400,000. Our Brownfield Authority is currently working on evaluating potential projects for the use of these additional funds. In 2017, we continue to gain media recognition from outside of our area. For the third year in a row, Cranes featured St. Clair County in their special edition. They also chose us as one of the stops in their Cranes Next Cities tour. The turnout at that event more than tripled their expectations. Developers around the state are taking notice of our success, but also equally important is all of our positive media is changing some of the negative perspective or perceptions that exist in our own communities. In 2017 was a busy year and we have a lot to be proud of. Our courts have consistently been leaders in setting best practices, and 2017 was no different. Our Friend of Court office saw a need and began offering educational classes to all parents with a case going through a Friend of Court. The course outlines the customer's rights, responsibilities, and common pitfalls. Providing this upfront education reduces confusion and frustration throughout a complicated and emotional process. Since its inception, over 1,000 parents have been served. This innovative program is the first of its kind in the state and has been recognized by the State Court Administrator's Office. 2017, our courts also reorganized their management structure. Instead of each court operating separately, they now are using a management team's approach to improve communications and streamline operations between the courts. Our county park system saw several improvements in 2017. Those include an interpretive boardwalk over the wetlands at Wetland County Park, the beach restoration at Fort Gratiot County Park, and the installation of an ADA-compliant kayak launch at Woodsong County Park. Certainly one of the many highlights of last year was the library's 100-year celebration. The library hosted numerous celebratory events around the county as well as a speaker series. The speakers included Temple Grandin, Jay Asher, Gail Carson Levine, Garth Stein, and Terry McMillan. These speakers were incredibly popular with the cardholders, and over 2,300 have attended. So looking forward to 2018, what are the projects we're going to be working on? We are currently reviewing some of our capital and infrastructure needs. We have several facilities that are in need of updating. We're currently working on plans for enhancements at our Marine City District Court building as well as our medical examiner's office. Our health department will continue their work on our community health needs assessment. Improving health outcomes doesn't happen overnight, but programs are being developed and will start being put into place to slowly start correcting our unfavorable trends. Economic development is always a priority. We will be working on leveraging new brownfield funding to assist projects. We will also continue to provide assistance in partnership with our lobbying firm Strategic Communications to explore grant and funding opportunities for new development. We believe in continuous process improvement. We are constantly evaluating our services to make sure we are providing the best service in the most efficient manner. One significant change in service delivery we will see next year is how we deliver indigent defense services. There have been legislative changes that establish requirements on how these services are to be provided. There are 8 different standards we are required to comply with, and we are already beginning to make those transitions. We know economic development and talent attraction go hand in hand. Vibrant communities, stable government, partnerships, and quality of life are essential to attract new talent. We will continue our efforts to improve the quality of life in St. Clair County for our current and future residents. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today, and I look forward to another successful year.
Thank you, Kari, for those remarks and letting us know everything that's happening in our community. It's very important that we are informed of that, and I think it was a great presentation. So another round of applause for Kari, please. At this time, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Ron Krause from DT Energy. He is going to be asking the panel that you see up on the wall there. Oops, wrong one. Let's see. How do I get this up? Paul. He's going to introduce the panel, but I'd like to take a moment to introduce him. Ron has received his education at the Macomb Community College as well as Wayne State University. He earned a degree in engineering technology. He's a certified energy manager. He's been with DTE since 1995. He's held several positions there and is currently transitioning from his role as regional manager in Corporate and Government Affairs Office to the General Manager of Community Lighting and Joint Use Operations. I'm sure he'll tell us what that really means. Right, Ron? Yeah. Ron, along with his lovely wife, Anna, of 31 years, and their family live in Shelby Township, and they're about a month away from their daughter's wedding. And of course, with a wedding, the stress in their household is very low, as you can imagine. Please welcome Ron Krause and our panel.
Yeah, we don't have any Rocky music or anything, guys. Come on up. I mean, this is as good as it's going to get right here. Am I able to take this down? Because I got to put some notes. I don't want to screw it up. Can we take this off the pole, or you want to just, can I push it up? No, I'm going to screw up technology. Well, thank you, Thelma. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, wedding. I don't know a lot about weddings, I've been told. I'm all in favor of promoting young folks to elope after being through this. So if any of you have the opportunity coming up, I strongly encourage it. It's just give them a check, say goodbye, and let us know when the grandkids are born. So, and as Thelma mentioned, as we all know, or now you know, I am transitioning to a new job at DTE. And what does that mean in corporate America? It means please do 2 jobs with no additional pay, no recognition. And if anything goes wrong, you are the one that we are going to blame. So that's kind of what's going on right now. There will be someone stepping in my role, but I think for the next probably 5-6 months, I'll still be around. And I am now the Director of Community Lighting for DTE Energy. So street lights and in your backyards, if you're seeing it, it's a little bit dim, I can help you. You folks that are involved in the broadband world, joint use, that's when those wires go on our poles, you're a joint user, I can help you with that. So don't feel afraid to reach out to me. Okay, so we're going to get into this here pretty quick. My papers are sliding all over. Blue meets green, Crane Business Detroit. Before we dive into that, I think in my reading, there were some folks that were identified in it that I want to recognize if I could, because they're very vital to this area. They've been good friends of mine and will continue to be. Dan Casey, your EDA CEO, great guy. Dan's been in that position, I think it said 7 years. I remember when Dan first got the job, I talked to him early on. We were both still feeling each other out, like who's this guy, who's this guy? He's one of the greatest guys this county's got, so he's doing a great job for you. Mr. Don Fletcher, everywhere I go, I see Don Fletcher. Don has got great passion for this area, as it said in that article. Don, I think you're here. I don't know if I've seen
California.
you. Oh, he's in California. Don Fletcher's a great guy, as we all know that. Randy Meyer, as always, my friend, doing a great job with that community foundation. And as many of you know, we are really, really close to making a really huge announcement about a power plant, we hope, and it's looking good. But I can't, it's not official or anything. The MPSC will be making their decision. I think it's April 28th, could come a little earlier, but they will let us know if they feel that we have done our due diligence and this makes the most sense to provide our customers energy by allowing us to build this new plant in St. Clair County, East China Township. So I think that's pretty good news. Linda Schweihofer, Larry Simon, thank you for all of your efforts throughout all of this. You both have been wonderful township supervisors along the way. So let's introduce our panel here. I'll just run through it quickly. I don't want to give them too much mic time because we know how that's going to go. Jeff Boehm, our county, our chair of our county commission board of commissioners. Sorry, to my far left, Randy Fernandez, city manager, city of Marysville. Elaine Levin in the middle. She is the city manager for Marine City. Next to her is the quiet James Freed, Port Huron city manager. And right here to my left is Denise Gerstenberg, Elginak city manager, new to this table. She's a Macomb County girl, so that's good. Speaking of Macomb County, Governor, do you want to make any statements here before we get going? Thank you for taking time off the trail today to join us. Okay. All right. Good. So, all right. So we drew straws in the back. Who should go first on these questions? Actually, not. I just picked Jeff Boehm. So, sorry, Jeffrey. Blue-green. You've been at the helm, or you've been on the board for about 14 years. Is what you said, and about 8 years, I think, as the chair. Read that nice article about blue meets green. give me your take on what that means and some of your successes, and you've been here a while.
Well, if you turn the clock back, pre-Blue Meets Green, when I first got on the board, the communities didn't communicate, right? We weren't sitting at the table. You would have never seen 5 of us sitting down working on issues. That's a fact. If anything, we probably wanted to kill each other, right? So just through really the downturn and the bad economy, a lot of the smaller communities, nobody could self-fund anymore. And at the time, you really didn't have to play nice with the other guy because you had enough money and so on and so forth. And this isn't bashing anybody because none of these guys were around back then. But so through the bad economy, we just said we got to really start, sitting down, talking about regional priorities and working on different things and making it happen. I can tell you, at our last planning session, we had 92 people at that planning session. We meet every 2 months. There's 35 to 40 of us that get together on a regular basis. As I've said before, we might bicker a little bit behind closed doors and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's all for the greater good. And I know for a fact it is our largest accomplishment that we've made in this county, is getting everybody sitting down at the table, working together to move these things forward and some of the projects. I know Kathy and Tom Verton are in attendance today that have the theaters in Marine City, and Kathy will, and I'm not putting words in her mouth, but she'll tell you without Blue Meets Green, the hotel project in Marine City probably wouldn't have happened. And so when you look at these different, projects, St. Clarin's a great example also. A lot of these projects need help in smaller communities, and so that's where the counties and the cities and the community foundation are. Truthfully, the community foundation involvement is probably the thing that's bridged the gap more than any one particular to help move these projects forward. And that's not said. When I talk to a lot of the others and other communities, they don't have this. I like the Kevin Hurt, who's from Gary Peters' office, isn't here today, but he told me in one of the meetings, he said, St. Clair County is becoming the 3rd largest city in Michigan. What he meant by that was a collaboration amongst all of us, so it's really pretty exciting to be part of it.
Thanks, Jeff. So we talked about Marine City. Elaine, in on the water, that's going to be opening up, or it is? I mean, what's the effect?
It's going to be open pretty soon, so I think we got to the point where they're at a temporary C of O. We've got condos that are going to be closing today, I believe. Those of you that aren't familiar with the Inn on Water Street, the project, it's a 3-story hotel. It's a boutique hotel. It's nice, beautiful space. It's got a restaurant, retail space in there, a couple dozen rooms, and the 3rd floor is 4 beautiful condos. Everything that the Vertons have done in Marine City has turned out to be very successful in our community, and they are great partners to have in Marine City. With their theaters, I think this is going to bring another piece of the puzzle to the city for people that really want to come to the county. They can use this as a center point in the county, kind of the heart of the county. People will be able to stay at the hotel, they'll be able to enjoy the theaters, stay the night, they'll be able to do day trips from there up to Port Huron, down to Harson's Island, and really enjoy everything that we have to offer in the county. Because that's really what it is about, is kind of the whole county and all of us working together. There were so many groups that came together and helped out with that hotel project, from the foundation and EDA, the county, the state. Our local board certainly played a huge part in getting the hotel to fruition. One thing that I think kind of goes without saying, you see city managers up here and county commission, we couldn't do it without the townships as well. They are partners in this with us. We live, we work, we have fun here in the county. I moved to the county from Oakland County.
You can say it. Go ahead. Oakland County.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So I moved here about 4 years ago. I'd been coming out here regularly for about 12 years. Absolutely loved the county. I saw what a gem it was. And then 3 years ago, I started working in Marine City as the manager. Last year, I was fortunate enough to bring my mom out here to move to Port Huron because I believe in the county so much, and she has embraced it, and that's really what it's all about, is all of us working and enjoying the county together, bringing our friends and family, and showcasing what we have here.
Good, good. So you mentioned Port Huron. Hello, James, how are you?
Barely awake.
Barely awake.
Getting a lot of sleep lately.
How's everything going? Everything going well up there at Port Huron?
Things are good.
Good. Well, thanks for that update on Port Huron, James. Talk to me about Port Huron. How's things going up there, the development and in Port Huron?
So Port Huron has gone from, we're transitioning from a stage of survival to a stage of slingshotting ourselves forward to the next level. 3-4 years ago, we were facing multi-million-dollar deficits, growing unfunded liabilities, massive CSO debt. Today, we have balanced budgets, surplusing to a small degree. We have paid down debt more than $50 million since I took office. Our unfunded liabilities, because of the working with our collective bargaining groups, we have now reduced our unfunded liabilities by more than $10 million in the last 3 months. Through new negotiations. So we've really stabilized the ship financially for the city. Working with Blue Meets Green from that survival mode. So everyone get together because we just want to get together. It was like we need to survive. So these relationships need to become marriages. This collaboration needs to become regionalism. It needs to be in for the long haul. Now in Port Huron, we've survived. We're stable. How do we move ourselves to the next level? How do we make keynote economic development in our downtown and our neighborhoods to really make Port Huron sustainable and a prosperous place for years to come for the next generation. I say that since just having a daughter, you begin to, you use that term for the next generation, it takes a whole new meaning. Our kids don't get to decide what kind of city they're going to live in. We're making those decisions today. They can decide how their kids are going to live, but we're making the decisions of how Lucy's going to live in her city. And so do we want a prosperous downtown with a marketplace, a prosperous downtown with shopping, with jobs, with our industrial park growing more than 700 jobs in the last year alone, many major announcements on the horizon. So Port Huron's doing well, but again, we're surviving. It's not about surviving now. It's how do we make Port Huron a prosperous place. So now that we have the economic development, the sustainability and stability. If you talk to any entrepreneur or company, they want to invest capital in the safest, most secure place. They want vanilla ice cream government. We have given them that. Port Huron is a stable and conducive place to dump your capital. So we're seeing growth in our industrial park, growth in our downtown. Entrepreneurs are putting money here. It's a stable place. Public services are stable, good, stable place. We're seeing housing starts, infill. We use blight elimination dollars to tear down homes. Now people are building $180,000, $190,000 homes in that same lot, where just 10 years ago we were tearing down homes. So we have the residential, the real estate, the economic growth, but then also we can't forget that our Port Huron schools. We have leadership at Port Huron Schools with Jamie Kane and our very progressive school board. Their determination was Port Huron schools are not going to be just as good as every other school district. That's not the goal. Port Huron schools are going to be better than every other school district. We've now invested more than $100 million into STEAM labs, to skilled trades in our schools and investing in our schools. And when you talk to young families like myself, I'm your target demographic, hate to say it, but we care about our kids and where are they going to school. So not only do I have a job, but I have a safe and stable neighborhood, and I have a quality public education. I know Lucy's going to get a great education at Port Huron area schools. And so when you have all those things playing together, we really believe that we're slingshotting Port Huron forward to a much more prosperous future because it's not just one thing, it's multiple things going together. So we can't forget our schools. Thank you, Jamie and Theo and Keely for your leadership on that. But yeah, Port Huron's good.
Good. Congratulations on the birth of your daughter.
Yeah, I look forward to
good.
sleeping.
Yeah.
She's beautiful, but that's to be expected from the most handsome man in the county. So, yeah. Well, I was the most handsome man in the county, but then Hackle came for lunch. But when he goes home, I'll regain my title.
So what did it cost you to have your picture on that article on the Crane's business? I mean, did you have to pay to have yours in there?
I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, I seen the online version.
Yeah.
I said, of course, James Freed's going to be pictured in this article. So future. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the city of Marysville room. Mr. Fernandez, you have a energy plant that was torn down and not much is going on there. I understand Disney has been here, Universal Studios, they all want to put up a big new park. That's some of the rumors that we get asked as well. about that property. I don't think Disney or Universal's coming, but tell me what you know. Where's this going?
Well, I think Mayor Damon and the council and I view DTE as a great opportunity. I mean, how many places have 30 acres on the water and 20 acres across the street ready for development that we can grow? So, we're looking for jobs and a tax base. Mr. Hackle's fortunate enough in Macomb County that he has some defense jobs, defense industries there. That is a sector in St. Clair County that we do not have, or don't have, very limited. We have 2 defense contractors looking at that site as we speak. The other vision that we have, more of a mixed-use type of development, is we have Splash Universe hopefully coming to take a look at the property. I want to give a shout-out to Quentin Bishop because of the team approach that we take. Quentin and his family, a few weeks ago for midwinter break, went to Splash Universe. When I found that out, I asked him if he would pitch the DTE site to them. He did that on his own time, with his family time. If we land Splash Universe, it's because of the EDA and Quentin Bishop. So Quentin, wherever you are, we appreciate you trying to bring that to our area. And again, I think that shows what we're all trying to do. We've made comments, if it's not good for Marysville, and if it lands in Port Huron or lands in Marine City or lands in Algonac, so be it. We just want it to come to our county. Elaine stole a little bit of our thunder, even though that we're up here. I would like all the township officials to please stand and be recognized, because again, they're not sitting up here today, but all the meetings that we do have with the township. So if they would at least stand and be recognized today, we would be happy. See, Georgia, it's not all about us up here. So anyway, but Marysville, as a segue, James had mentioned the schools. We pride ourselves. Marysville has always had, we think, the best schools. The numbers point that out. Mr. Kane came from Marysville, lives in Marysville. His wife teaches in Marysville. When we promote the city of Marysville, we promote our schools. When you have close to 200 children from other areas pick Marysville, there's a reason. There's a reason. And that's why, again, with the Body family and Duke Dunn, for them to build those 150 to 200 homes on Range in Ravenswood, they're here because of our schools and because of good government, and they will tell you that. And I'm very fortunate in Marysville. It has nothing to do with me. Think about your organizations. If you don't have it at the top, if you don't have an example from the top, and your board won't let you do the things that you recommend, you've got nothing but failure. But we're very stable in Marysville. You saw about 3 weeks ago. I love Paul Bailey's on the front page of the Voice. Thank you, Jim Block. Marysville in, quote, great financial shape. Okay, so we're able to do things that some other communities aren't able to do. We're building a new city hall. We're looking forward to that. And there's a few other developments that are coming, we believe, that we can't get into right now. So again, we're very blessed in Marysville. But again, we preach the team, the team, the team. You are part of our team, and we appreciate you sharing in our success. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Randy. So can we get the hot lights on our new person here? We'll put you in the hot seat here. Denise, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. So you've been on the job about 6 months now?
Yes.
You've got the lay of the land. You know what's out in front of you. What's your big challenge as the city manager there in Algonac? What do you see immediate, short term?
Well, I'd like to say that although Algonac doesn't have the industrial or the downtown that some of the other communities do here, we still have a lot going on in our small community. And I'd like to point out, too, that although I came from Macomb County, I moved out here 3 years ago, only been the city manager for 6 months, and I was just elated at the support that I received from the county. Jeff Boehm reached out to me right away, Bill Graytop, Artie Bryson, Kari, and it's been just wonderful these past 6 months. I have met so many people that have really helped me work through what's going on in Algonac and where we need to move forward. So in Algonac right now, We have our beautiful 2,400-foot Riverfront Boardwalk, and we are really looking to make some improvements there. So we're
If you need some
replacing-
lighting, I can help you with some lighting on that boardwalk, so just give me a call and,
It's funny you should say
no,
that.
let's talk then. This is,
Because actually, we're going solar, so we're putting solar lights in on our boardwalk.
good luck with that.
We've had enough of that DTE thing, so yeah, we're trying to go solar. We're looking to make some nautical improvements. We're looking to redo our restroom facilities. We are working with the St. Clair County Master Gardener to redo the landscaping on our boardwalk. We're also having a lot of good discussions with the Walpole Island Ferry. I know that Marine City has been involved in the whole, what's going on with the ferry and the Canada side. Well, our ferry's seeing a lot of growth. So they usually have about 50, 60 cars a day in March, where they're having over 300 cars a day. So we've been sitting down with the ferry, with MDOT. You should have seen MDOT when the ferry said they expect about 1,000 cars to stack up along M29 at some point this summer. Did not go over well. So we also are struggling with what's happening with the ferry. So we do have a lot going on. We're working with our Algonac Clay Historical Society. We want to establish a welcome center downtown. We've been working with Mr. Graytop and all of the county organizations to look at putting in a kayak launch along the Marine City Dredge Cut. So those are some long-term projects, but things are going well, and there's a lot happening in Algonac.
Good. So Jeff, she brought up solar, and I know you and I have talked about the barrage that St. Clair County's been getting from solar developers. It's all around some legislation that was put in place long ago, and it's starting to go this development's way, solar development's way. But I know you've been receiving a lot of calls, interest. We've been up there presenting to your board, to your constituents. What are your thoughts there?
So if you look at our largest tax base in St. Clair County, our top 10 taxpayers, DTE's $760 million, 12% of our entire SEV. ITC's $100 million, Inbridge is 50. The number 4 is Consumers Energy at 30. Our utilities represent roughly 20% of our entire SEV in the entire county. So as this comes, you are seeing a lot of the windmill discussions, you are seeing a lot of the solar discussions. And for us to continue to grow our tax base, we've got to embrace some additional investments from the utilities. Now, there again, this is the world according to Boehm. So, because we don't get cracks at 50 million or 100 million, those types of things. If you look at the solar development out in Lapeer, if you drive down 69, there's over 200 acres there. That is $80 million in SEV. Dale Curbison is the actual city manager. I called and talked to him the other day about it. We do not get cracks at 80 million. The problem that we do run into, though, and this isn't throwing stones at anybody, is sometimes we have, though, I like it, but not in my backyard, okay? So as some of these things come up, we need to find areas that want the investment, essentially, because majority of these larger investments are probably going to happen in some of our more rural areas, and we really need to work with those individual townships and so on and so forth. But for us to really grow our economy, we have to look at what we are. Like I said, 20% of our entire SEV is in utility companies. So
we're up against the clock, guys. Does anyone have any one last thing they wanted to mention? I'm sorry, I have a bunch of questions here, but we're running out of time. So everybody, anyone?
I'd just like to kind of chime in. We've got a lot of support in our community. We've been doing a lot of fundraising through something called Patronicity, which is through MEDC. And if anyone's familiar, last year we used them to help fund the lifeguards at our beach in Marine City. This year, we have a group of core people. I see a couple of them sitting over there, Laura Scaccia with our chamber and our mayor, Dave Vandenbosch, who have worked with our group called River Rec Teen Zone to fund a space that we have since leased them space in our old city hall. Their fundraising goal was $30,000, and they have since exceeded that, so they will be getting their match from Patronicity for that.
Great.
I got two things. Real quick.
How did I know this?
Yeah, two things. First, when I first came to St. Clair County, Jeff Boehm and Bill Graytop reached out to me, and my only advice is don't go down a boat on the Pine River with them, ever. Second thing, stay tuned. Next Wednesday, our Downtown Development Authority is going to unveil a major initiative in our downtown, which I think you'll all have interest in. And I will just leave you with that. Stay tuned. It's going to be big.
Nice teaser. Nice teaser. I like that. Okay, so I always like to do a word association game. You guys know that. Answer with a word or two or what comes to mind when I say something. It might be a question about your work. It might be something off the cuff. And I have a bunch of them, but I'm just going to pick one for each of you. Mr. Fernandez.
First of all, before he does that, because I can't give James the last word, the Mayor Damon State of the City
Jeez.
address is Monday, 6:15 at City Hall. Don't want to miss that. And I'd like to give a shout out to the gentleman in the back of the room, Alex Miller. You know, Alex is our host today, but it's not so much about here is that 3 years ago, Market Square was vacant, 100% vacant. Okay, so even though there's still some vacancies, there's at least 10 to 12 new businesses here because Alex bought the whole complex. I believe there's a gentleman here today that's looking at 5,000 square feet, and we have a possible sports bar that'll be going in within the next, hopefully, 9 months. So again, Alex, thank you very much. Alex is in the back to make this thing go. So, yes, Mr. Chris.
Okay, Rando, you ready?
I'm ready. Go blue, by the way. Where's the blue people out there? That's right. Thank you.
And this wasn't by accident. Get it, maize and blue? Okay, Randy, Masters champion.
Phil Mickelson.
Everyone doesn't know this, but I do. Randy's going to go watch that tournament next weekend, the 5th, 6th, 7th, I think it is.
Friday, April 6th.
And he said he wanted to talk to me after this, so I'm just hoping there's an invite there. And so
He turned me down last year. He
stop.
turned me down.
No. James, you ready?
Yeah.
Casino?
Never. Move on. Kill it. We don't need it. We have something better.
Denise. And I don't know. Denise, Wolverines or Sparty?
Wolverine, go blue.
All right. Elaine, country or rock and roll?
Both.
You can't say both. You gotta
like
pick
both.
one. No, you gotta pick one or the other.
Classic rock.
Classic rock. All right. Jeffrey, number of Tiger wins this year?
Ooh, boy.
Give me an over and under. Over
I'll give you 50.
50 wins. That'd be an all-time low.
It's going to be a rough
wow.
season.
Okay.
James, were you going to make your announcement for governorship today? I know you have a potential running mate here to my left. You could be the lieutenant governor.
We knew things were going well in Port Huron when I got stopped in the lobby by Hackle asking for a summer internship. So sharpen up the resume.
All right. Well, that's all we got up here. I want to thank everyone for coming today. I hope you had a good time. Thank you.